welcome back to the yoga clinic, or welcome if this is your first time joining me here. Today we're going to be doing a full body yin class. You won't need any props unless you know that you like them. And we'll just get started on our mats today. The first posture that we're going to take is called frog. And this pose is a little bit controversial. Some people really don't like it. And that's because it's kind of vulnerable and it's also very deep, can be very deep. So we're just gonna get into it slowly. So we'll start with the toes together and the knees out wide. And then just come to sit on the heels and take the hands down. Now what we're looking for in this posture is spinal extension, and then we'll bring the weight onto the inner knees to bring the hips into abduction, so spreading the legs wide. Now if you already feel like that's happening for you here, great, there's really no need to go farther. If you feel like you need a little bit more to get those benefits, we'll begin to lift the hips off the heels so that we can split the feet apart, turning the toes out and coming onto the inner edges of the feet. Now, this is where things can start to get a little bit intense for some people. They might feel some sensation in the ankles and knees. And now remember, yin, we target the connective tissues. So we do want to feel sensation in those areas like the knees and ankles, where in a more yang style class, they say like you don't want to feel anything there. So don't worry about sensation, but what we don't want is pain. Now, if you feel like this is your edge where pain might develop if you were to go deeper, this is where you'll stay. If you want to go deeper, the way we do this is to start to spread the knees apart. Now, at any point, if you want to target the inner thighs more than the feet and ankles, we'll just come onto the tops of the feet here, and then you can keep spreading the knees wide. Or begin to take the toes out and then shift the hips back towards the back of the mat. And then if you want even more, that's when we'll come down onto forearms, maybe even lying down. Now, some people, again, feel like the boniness of the knees is a little intense. And so we can roll up the edge of the mat to pad those bones and take some of that sharpness away. So again, finding your edge, and think about this. Like if you want to target more of inner thighs, less of ankles, then just take the stress out of the ankles and widen the thighs more to bring more into the inner thighs. If you want more spinal extension, we'll stay upright on the hands because that's going to take the back into more of a back bend. If you want less, we'll come down onto forearms. And then if you want more intensity around the hips, we'll shift the weight back. And if you want less, we'll shift the weight forward. Okay, so just kind of play around with it and find a place, not that's necessarily comfortable, but a place you feel like you can hold for the next few minutes without having to clench your teeth or get really angry at me. And let the body begin to settle down into the posture. And let the posture be the teacher. Asana can teach us about ourselves, the way that we react when we're put in uncomfortable situations. Just gently being with whatever comes up for you here. Can you open yourself to that? Even when what we find is not necessarily what we expected or wanted. Just being curious and moving towards it rather than away. Treating yourself tenderly. In yin, there is a tendency to want to squirm around in these postures. It's like too long holding them in one spot. And so the work comes from staying with it, just staying in the posture, resisting the urge to move, unless there's pain. Another minute here. Can you slow down your breath even more? Relax more around the hips if you can. Unhook the back teeth and take another full cycle of breath. Okay. We'll slowly transition, come onto your hands, and then walk them forward. So everyone will slide the weight forward. Ooh, baby. Beginning to straighten out through the hips, out through the knees. And then bring the knees together. And come to sit on your heels. Okay, so that can be quite intense. Let's do something else. So we were just putting weight on the insides of the legs to press the legs into abduction. Now, we're gonna take diamond pose. And so the stress is more outer legs in diamond pose. This is not our Baddha Konasana bound angle. The legs are farther apart or farther away from us than that. And then you'll start to feel this in the outer glutes and the IT band. Because this is yin, I'm not worried about the spine staying straight. In fact, it might feel really nice after all that spinal extension in frog to let your back round, let your chin just drape down towards your neck or towards the floor. Let your shoulders round and let your feet be relaxed. Some of you who are very flexible might want to prop the feet up on blocks to intensify the external rotation of your thighs. If you are less flexible, or just this is a lot today, you can support the outer knees with props, blankets, bolsters, blocks. So we want to look for that edge and just be mindful of where we feel sensation and not going past it, not going to the point where there's pain. So in yin, we're constantly asking ourselves, is this pain? Is this pain? Or is this sensation? Listening to the body very closely for what it is telling us. Feel the body being breathed. One more breath cycle here. Don't rush it. Build your way back up. Take the hands outside of the knees, help them back together. And then we're going to come to lay down on our bellies. Finding some inner arm work. Yin usually focuses on the hips down. That's the yin part of the body, is the low body, just because that's where the big connective tissues are. But yin, the principles of yin can be applied to the upper body as well, and that's what we're going to do here. Just being mindful that we just don't want to put necessarily as much weight, as much stress on these areas, just because they're not as elastic. They're not, they're a little bit less stiff. And so there's a tendency to, you can overdo it, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we're gonna start with the right or the left arm out to the left. And you can start with the arm straight out, elbow straight, or arm and goalpost. If you put arm and goalpost, it's good because you'll have more, it's good for tighter spaces. It's also going to put more stress on the bicep attachment in the inner shoulder. So I'm gonna start in goalpost. You might need to open the angle of your elbow more towards straight if it's too intense. Take your left ear down, right hand under right shoulder, and then begin to roll onto the left side of your body. And now you can just stay. Or some people like to step the right foot behind the left. Some people will be able to step both feet down, both knees up. It's up to you. Find a position of your limbs that feels beneficial. And then find your stillness. So our spine is in a twist here. We're twisting through the upper body. And we don't necessarily want to be twisting through the low body. So if it feels like the low back is twisting, sometimes that can be an uncomfortable sensation. Just keep the hips in alignment and maybe even come out of the pose a little bit more, okay? Hips stay stacked for you. If that's not an issue for you, you can feel free to split the legs and then again, step a foot behind the other knee into the air. Some of us have a very mobile low back, and so there's a tendency for it to move around in ways that it is not necessarily meant to, and that can create pain. We want to make sure that the neck is extended here. It's not curling in. So lift your chin away from your chest and then pick up that bottom ear and walk it back. So keeping the cervical spine of our neck in line with the rest of our body. And we'll take one more cycle of breath here. Full releasing. Okay. We'll reverse the steps. Stack your legs. Right hand under right shoulder. If it's not already there, roll back onto the belly. And then we'll sweep the left arm back by the left side just for a moment. And then come onto the other side. So I'm going to take goalpost with my right arm. You might extend that angle and move more towards extension of the elbow. Left hand under the left shoulder. Come onto the right ear. And then right away, make sure that your neck is straight, not rounding down. Begin to roll onto the right side of your body. You can curl the knees in and keep the knees together if your low back is cranky. And then from there, you might begin to extend the legs. And if the low back is okay with it, maybe you step top foot behind the bottom leg. These are all just options. The important part is the sensation in the inside of the arm. That's what we're really going for here. You'll feel this in the elbow too. So postures like this can be really good for things like golfer's elbow or tennis elbow, because those conditions develop around your tendons in the elbow being overworked and getting inflamed. And so what we're doing here is giving love back to those tissues, letting them open up and promoting blood flow into those areas to clear out the toxins that have developed. All of those inflammatory molecules that cause pain, that cause the swelling. The body has infinite wisdom. So if something hurts, that's your body telling you that's not good for it. If it feels good, that's your body telling you to, yes, please do that. We'll take one more cycle of breath here. Don't be in a rush to get out of the pose. And very slowly reverse your steps, coming back onto the belly. Forehead down and sweep the right hand behind you. Hands under the shoulders, press up and back to sit. We're going to find legs up the wall next. So grab a spot of wall. I should have said that at the beginning. And we will scoot one side of the hip against the wall, flush against the wall. Doesn't matter which side. And then come to lay. And as you lay, sweep the legs up the wall. So your butt cheeks should be up against the wall or close to it. And then for this one, anything with the legs is fine. I'm going to split my legs, but you could also take the feet down, knees towards you into something like happy baby, or maybe keeping the legs straight up. And we'll just let gravity do the work here. Reversing the blood flow in the body and allowing the return of this blood, this lymph, to the heart, where our blood can be oxygenated and sent back through the body to deliver fresh oxygen to our tissues. Inversions are thought to promote longevity. They're thought to promote youth, and youth, like a youthful appearance, youthful persona, and longer lives. They also increase blood flow to the upper body, including the brain. And so it's good to use inversions if you're under a lot of stress or you've been thinking a lot, studying hard, have something that you need to really mentally perform for. It's a good way of both unwinding and of delivering, again, fresh oxygen to the brain so it can perform optimally. They also have a very calming effect on the nervous system. And so inversions can be used before bed. Yogis, you can stay here. Or if you'd like to transition into a more traditional Shavasana, please feel free to do that. Taking any final little movements you feel like you need before you can settle down. And then letting the hands move away from the body, palms face up if you're starting your day, or perhaps they face down if you're ending it. Feeling the body connect with the earth. This is where I'm going to leave you for today. I hope you enjoyed class, and I will see you next time.